Assalamualaikum. My name is ATINNABILAH binti ABDUL HAKIM. Egypt is an Islamic country located in the North African region, and it is the 30th biggest nation in the world. Most of the people are Muslims. Egypt also a country linking North Africa and Middle East with the land bridge namely Suez Canal. Islamic financial system is a principle of operation and practice that is following Sharia laws. The world Islamic banking began in 1963 with the establishment of the mid-scale local saving bank in Egypt. The Islamic banking system plays a very important role as an alternative to Muslims in avoiding involvement in the conventional system that is disobedient to Sharia laws. Thus, the main characteristic of Islamic financial system is sharing the risk and uncertainties to avoid the injustice among the parties. The history of Islamic financial system in Egypt. The establishment of the first Islamic bank called Mid-Scale Local Saving Bank made Egypt the first country that introduced Islamic bank. It was established on 25th June 1963 and has received a lot of good response from low-income economies such as farmers who want to keep their money at the same time avoiding the elements of usury. However, the implementation of the system failed due to political problems in the country. So, Egypt subsequently established other Islamic banking such as Nasser Social Bank in 1971 and Faisal Islamic Bank in 1978. Faisal Islamic Bank is the largest Islamic bank branch that complies with Sharia law. The process of applying Islamic financial principle in Egypt took two forms, which are establishment of Islamic banks, both private and public, and setting up of Islamic branches of conventional banks. Egypt has huge potential to be success in this industry, but the Islamic financial system is still disobedient with Sharia laws, where there is a lack of innovation that just make fine-tuning the conventional products to make them Sharia compliant. Furthermore, the attitude and progress shown by Western countries expand the power of their system. Thus, Egypt began to accept that idea, and it was difficult to distinguish which one was a system used in Islam.
Based on asset, Islamic finance has diversified within and beyond banking into capital market and insurance, as well as other non-banking services. In 2015, Egypt has 14 banking Islamic licenses, of which 3 are full-fledged Islamic banks such as Faisal Islamic Bank of Egypt, and several have Islamic windows including the National Bank of Egypt and Ahli United Bank. There are roughly 200 branch and 120 billion Egyptian pound (EGP) of assets in Egypt's Islamic banking industry are offered by Egypt's conventional banks. Islamic finance system in Egypt is evolving and in line with Sharia compliant law. By 2017, the assets of Islamic banks had reached 226 billion Egyptian pounds, about $12.8 billion, with an increase of 10.24% versus the previous year. As reported by the Egyptian Finance Association's EIFA, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia's and Malaysia's financial system had 120 billion Islamic assets, respectively representing the second and third largest domiciliations of Islamic finance in terms of size of asset. Based on governance, the growth of global governance in Egypt enabling the role of larger international organizations than ever before. In the Egyptian context of 3 indices that seek to evaluate governmental performance in ensuring an appropriate environment for economic activity, access capital in the facilitating transformations to democratic capitalism respectively, may illustrate some of the issues associated with the scope of governance, concept, and their measurement. Egypt was the location of the first modern Islamic financing operations in 2963 when the Mid-Gamma Saving Bank was started, a Sharia-compliant credit union where members would place a credit card deposit in exchange for interest-free loan. The law number 48 being silent on specific Islamic issues. It provided autonomy from interference from government bodies apart from the central bank. Islamic banks, like their conventional counterpart, were required to maintain adequate cash-to-deposit ratios to cover likely liquidity requirements. However, the Central Bank of Egypt did not get involved in Sharia-compliant issues.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Roszaineie binti SYAHRUL. I would like to present about the institution of Egypt. The Egyptian Central Bank was established in January 1961. The Central Bank of Egypt is an autonomous regulatory body, assuming the authorities and powers vested therein by Law Number 88 for 2003 and the Presidential Decree Number 65 for 2004. It works to maintain the stability of the Egyptian currency and to stimulate the country's economy by regulating and monitoring monetary policy, credit and banking. CBE also acts as a paper issuer, bank officials to the government as well as the banking sector. In addition, CBE also controls bank credit and money supply. Reserve and national currency exchange are also managed by the Central Bank of Egypt, a depository institution. In 1975, to implement the new policy, the banking law was enacted, which set out the nature and manner of operation for all banks. First, commercial banks usually accept deposits and provide finance for various transactions. Second, business and investment bank, conducting medium and long-term operations such as new business, promotion and fixed asset investment financing. Also receive deposits and finance foreign trade operations. Third, banks specifically operating operations that serve a particular type of economic activities. Also receive request deposits. Other financial institutions. Financial Regulatory Authority (FRA) established in accordance with Law Number 10 of 2009. FRA is responsible for overseeing and regulating non-banking financial markets and instruments, including capital markets, future exchange, insurance activities, mortgage financing, financial leasing, factoring, and securities. In addition to addressing problems arising from different regulatory methods, the FRA also seeks to reduce the risk caused by lack of coordination. The Egyptian Insurance Supervisory Board (EISA), the Capital Markets Board (CMA), and the Mortgage Financial Authority (MFA) have been replaced by the FRA. In addition, the FRA is the authority applying the provisions of the Financial Leasing Act 95 in 1995. Next, banking. Thanks to the significant reforms over the last 10 years, stringent regulations, unprecedented product nature, and dominance of domestic financing and investment have made Egypt's banking sector stable despite the global financial crisis. Some international banks and the Gulf have taken advantage of the Egyptian banking sector because of the high consumer interest rates. This positive move for the banking sector in Egypt is a growing trend and in the interest of the international banks and the Gulf. In order to play an effective role in the country's socio-economic development, further work is needed despite significant progress. The Central Bank of Egypt ensures the safety and health of the banking system and runs the country's monetary, credit and banking policies. Non-banking financial activities are under the jurisdiction of the Financial Regulatory Authority (FRA), the public authority that regulates and monitors markets and non-banking financial instruments to ensure market stability and competitiveness. It has also consolidated its banking system into 39 banks and privatized Bank of Alexandria, one of the four dominant public sector in 2011. The Egyptian financial system in recent years have diversified and seen to resurgence of the vibrant stock exchange within a strong institutional framework. However, legislation and regulations were developed for mortgage, rentals and factories that remain a major activity. The policy focus is to develop a framework that allows for a vibrant insurance industry to be needed. To drive socio-economic development, the insurance sector help mobilize long-term resources, ensure social protection and reduce business risk.
Assalamualaikum. My name is Muhammad ASWAN bin ASKAH. This video, I will be present about the takaful and sukuk in Egypt. Firstly, I am going to talk about the takaful. The history and development of takaful in Egypt beginning in middle 1980, where the government has invested thousands of pounds received in Ponzi scheme. But the dividend are not given on based the actual profit from the investor. On 2003, the first takaful company in Egypt was introduced as known as Egyptian Arab House, and now they have 7 specialized takaful company operating in the market. Now I will share the takaful operating system at Egypt. Firstly, the Egyptian Financial Supervisory Authority (EFSA) regulate the takaful insurance, and many company takaful Sharia audit by EFSA. The EFSA under the Board of Directors Resolution number 8 of 2050 that say every investment or fund and takaful contribution offering the product must be comply with Sharia. And we must know in Egypt they have mandatory class like inter alia professional insurance, educational service, electronic risk and non-banking financial institution, motor insurance, and also house of worship and their user. And now there are 5 takaful operator and local and international giants such as myself, Egyptian Marine, Tokyo, AXA, Allianz, and Delta. And lastly, about the takaful in Egypt, the work in progress in Egypt in takaful. Firstly, the Ministry of the Health was launched the conjunction with the health development of the aim of spending to entire government in country in 2032, and the Ministry of Education trying to launch education insurance for both for secular and Islamic educational institution for the student. And lastly, the Ministry of Social Solidarity has launched the takaful and karama program, which is the refer to conditional and non-conditional can transfer. This program can benefit 2.2 million households, which amount to approximately 9.4 million individuals, or approximately 10% of Egyptian population. Secondly, I will talk about the sukuk in Egypt. The development of sukuk in Egypt started after the first Talaat Mustafa group success to introduce a sukuk regulated by FRA, Financial Regulatory Authority. On August 2018, his team started preparing the legislative structure for the sukuk. In an interview with Daily New Egypt Syed Abdul Fadil said the procedure to approval sukuk is around 23 March and 8 April 2020. And they add five type of sukuk like istisna, investment agency, salam muzarah, and musakat. And the current regulation include four type of like murabaha, ijara, musyarakah, and mudarabah. And currently, they have two sukuk issuances license, namely EFG Hermes and Sarwa Capital. Sukuk in Egypt monitored by Central Sharia Supervisor Community and other Sharia Sub-Community, FRA, and the Egyptian Exchange. So, lastly, the expectation of opportunity of sukuk in Egypt, we must know there are 3 million users out of 15 million users using Islamic financing product. The 3 million are invested in sukuk. Muhammad El Beltagi is the assistant of FRA, expected Egypt exchange market to increase to 280 billion in 2019, which is 6.6% increase from 2018, which means 42.9 on 2018. Now we know the number of Islamic institutions is increased from 230 branch, which is consists 6.2 of the bank office in Egypt.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Roszaineie binti Alet. Today I want to present Islamic financial market in Egypt. Figure 1 has proven that Egypt is a large potential to expand Islamic banking. Deposit of Islamic banking sectors is continuing increase from 2016 to 2018, with amount from 177 billion Egyptian pounds to 211.2 Egyptian pounds. This has proven that Egypt is one of the largest Islamic finance market in the world and will develop these sectors in the foreign countries. Assets of Islamic banking sectors also constantly increasing for 43.6 billion Egyptian pounds has recorded between 2016 and 2018. Egypt has predicted will take a lead on Islamic finance market in the future. In Figure 2, Egypt is still one of the lowest countries in the market share of Islamic banking, even though Egypt has the largest Muslim population than other countries, but this country is the lowest contributor in the market of Islamic finance. Egypt should emulate other countries in promoting this industry. Egypt also needs to do more research of the approach to ensure that the industry continues to grow and become the biggest contributor to the Islamic financial system. The approach that should be taken, for example, is developing Waqf and Zakat sectors in their finance system instrument. Waqf in Egypt. Waqf in Egypt definition was the granting or disposition of income for a religious or charitable purpose in the form of a trust, which means that such income cannot be transferred to another purpose. In Egypt, it is permissible to sell the Waqf property provided that the money raised is used to establish a new cash Waqf. The practice of converting Waqf property into cash was enhanced by the Nasrid Revolution as the country took over control of all Waqf through the Waqf Ministry. In 1957, Law 152 gave the country the right to replace money with land, which is to practice mass lawlessness, and the law the way for mass land reform and nationalization of Waqf lands by transferring the ownership of this land to the land reform community. Zakat in Egypt. Zakat means to be clear, to grow and grow. In Egypt, zakat could be a personal matter within the sense it is not collected by one country or another central agency. Individuals are allowed to make a decision whether and to whom to lend their zakat. In Egypt, alfim alms are between 5 to 8 LE, a little over $1 per person, and must be paid before prayer is obtainable at the top of Ramadan. Muslims are obligated to pay alms, cherish 2.5% of their net worth. If, after meeting his requirement, he attends Nisab, has cherished 85 grams. There are over 5,000 charity communities spread throughout the country, and an outside number of over 25,000 associations in Egypt also collect and distribute charity in step with the rules set forth in Surah Al-Tawbah.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is SITI NURHALIZAH binti Muhammad RUNDAN. So for today, I will explain to all of you about the prospect of Islamic financial product in Egypt. Compared to other Muslim countries, Egypt represents a unique case of Islamic financial system because they have a low growth rate in their country due to a political crisis that happened at their country at that time. However, we believe that Egypt have a big potential to develop Islamic financial system in their country because they have a big number of Muslim consumers. That also means the demand of Islamic financial product will be bigger than the other country. So, the first step that they need to take in order to success is to set up a legal, regulatory, and institutional framework to make sure that their systems are organized. When they have a professional management team, they can produce and do a research to produce more Islamic financial product that's suitable in terms of their consumers. From that, they can also attract a broad segment of investors to come to their country and invest in their product. In conclusion, as we all know that Egypt was the first country to establish an Islamic financial system, but due to a political crisis that happened at that time, it did not develop really well. However, we believe that Egypt has a big opportunity to develop in the future. So, to make it successful, all parties must take part to establish a management team that has expertise in this field. Thus, the Islamic financial system can compete with the conventional financial system in the future and continue to grow successfully.